What's up, guys? Welcome back to VHP Engines again. Hopefully this will be your second time today, at the very least. So this is something, again, that has plagued me as questions. I'm pretty sure I've thrown this out in multiple videos. I've even debated for several months on making it its own topic because it's going to be super short. But finally, I've had enough of these questions, so I'm gonna make a video on it. So that way, from now on, if I ever get the question again, I have something directly I can go back to show people and share. All the time asked about questions about how do I rev this, how do I rev that, how do I, first off, I've said a long time ago, said several times before, I'm not a tuner, all right? Your tuner should be setting your rev limit. You shouldn't be going in and fucking with your shit. If you're not tuning your car, you should be fucking with your rev limiter. All right? Now, everybody wants to do high revs. It's a Honda. Honda's rev high. That's what we do for Honda. We rev really fucking high. Well, personally, I'm not really a big fan of fucking revving to the goddamn sky. Switch gears when you need to, all right? And the only way you're really going to know when you need to switch gears is if you're tuning. Because when you're tuning, you can see where your power starts to dip off. And honestly, when you're tuning and your power starts to dip off in that gear, or you stabilize, that's when you need to shift gears. That's when you're not making power anymore. You don't need to be in that gear anymore. You need to go up to the next fucking one. All right? So 9,000 RPMs, 10,000 RPMs does not necessarily translate to horsepower. All right? So there's that. You don't need to be fucking revving the shit out of your engines to be making power. Now, if you have a fucking purpose-built, super high compression, super aggressive cams, and, then yeah, I understand if you're fucking revving it out like the fucking a million thousands RPMs, that's fine, whatever. That's what your engine's specifically built for to do, to make peak power, then that's what it's specifically built to do. All right? But in general, your stock fucking block or your Frankenstein engine or whatever the fuck you put together doesn't necessarily have to rev to the fucking sky. All right? That part of the rant is over. Got that out. All right? So, now with that being said, what I like to do is I like to keep, generally speaking, within 500 RPMs to 1,000 RPMs of what the stock block recommendations are. Now, as when it translates over to a VTEC engine, most VTEC engines rev to $8,000 or 8,500. Keep it fucking there. There's no real reason to throw up to 9 Gs or 10 Gs unless you got some specific tuning and you're making power in there. If you're not making power up that high, you don't need to be revving that fucking high. Now, for you guys who've got like fucking B18s or single cams or whatever, and you're in the stock rev limiter or the Redline is supposed to be like 7,500 or some shit like that, well, how high do I rev the block? It's the same fucking thing, 8,500. You can fucking take up your shit a couple hundred RPMs or 1,000 RPM more without having to worry about fucking ripping your motor to shreds. Honestly, that's not what's going to fuck you up and catch a rod knock. What's going to fuck you up revving really high is if you miss shift. Like if you're going from high gear to low gear by accident, then that's where you have to worry about over revving. Other than that, man, if you have if your stock recommended rev line is 7,500 and you're taking it 85, you increase 1,000 RPMs, that's really not making that much of a difference. If you're going if you're using a non-VTEC block and you want to use a VTEC head and you want to get that VTEC to its full fucking potential, then rev it out to $8,000, 8,500. That's not that big a difference, but you're still getting the full effects of your VTEC and all that shit. So hopefully this super quick video answers all these fucking rev limiter questions. And no, I'm not talking about upgrading rod bolts and shit like that, because you don't fucking need to. 1,000 RPMs, 500 RPMs, don't need to upgrade fucking rod bolts. Do we have any more questions about red lines or what we can rev to? This is for all engines. This is my stance on all of them. Peace. Thanks for watching.